All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and as part of the Rankin Technical College AWD or Application and Website Development 1100 C# programming course for the summer 2023 semester, I've been doing a couple early lectures to get people acclimated to what's going on in here. So I've so far done the lecture for Chapter 1 and for Appendix A, which was very short. And now I'm going to go into Chapter 2. And as you can see, this is on how to design a Windows Forms app. All right. So they're just going to start from nothing and they're going to build something. So there's a how to get started, how to design a form, how to finish your design. So let's go through this. Not a particularly long chapter, less than 20 pages. All right. So it says there to create a new Windows Forms app, you start by creating a new project. We've already done this, so let's go back and do it again. Now you can have more than one application running at a time here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and start up another Visual Studio right here. And we will create a new project. And let me see what, I don't remember what this one is about. So let's see once. So this is going to be, they want you to call it invoice total. I'm going to use what they use here. So I'm going to use invoice total for both the project name and for the solution name. All right, so we'll call everything here invoice total. So I'm starting up a new one right here. I'm going to create a new project. I'm again going to come up here and key in Windows Form. And I want to find the one that says Windows Forms app.NET framework that has a C# in it. So I'm going to click on that one and choose next. And I'm going to call all of these invoice total. So this will be invoice total. This is already invoice total. And I'll make a new folder on my desktop. So let's just set this to the desktop. And we will again put in here invoice total. Now, you'll notice the framework, we can go in and start monkeying with this stuff in here, but I'm not going to. I'm going to leave it right where it is. And I'm going to click Create. It'll take a couple minutes, but what you should notice now is I have a solution called Invoice Total, which has a project called Invoice Total, and all of that is housed on a folder that is named, wherever you are, right there, Invoice Total. All right, so I have everything that I need, I guess you could say. All right. Okay, so I just showed you how to create the new project. All right. Now, I use the Windows Forms app.NET framework. I don't know if it matters or not, so I use that one. How to configure this? Well, I just showed you that as well. All right, so we called it invoice total. There's nothing really, I'm not going to go and do this configure thing. It doesn't really pay to do this. All right, now how to design a form. So this is the way that the form we're about to create looks. Now you will notice a couple things about this. And I did not do this on the last form that we created. Remember, we had this. But this future value should have been a read-only field. So if I click on it right here, and I go over here, there's a thing that says read-only. I can either double-click on it, or click on it, click on the down arrow, and choose that, set it to true. Now it's a read-only field, and I can't enter anything in there. So let me do that. Okay. And now we're going to create our next one right in here. So let me do a view and bring in the toolbox so that you can see it. And when I click this middle thing up here, that says to pin it. There we go. So what do we have here? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So there are 4 labels, 4 text boxes, 3 of which are read-only. There's 2 buttons here. I'm going to make another one. I'm going to make a clear button. I tend to do that all the time in my programs, just because I think it makes the program a little bit easier to work with. So we've got subtotal, discount percent, discount amount, and total. So let's start by coming in here, and I'm going to choose all Windows forms, and I'm going to first put in those 4 labels. So here's the first one. Again, I'm going to change the background color of the form just so it's a little easier to work with. And it looks like I need to do another view properties window. Okay, so I'm clicking on my form here, and I'm going to change the background color. Now we could make it yellow again, but let's grab something else. So I'll grab this kind of orangish. All right, and here is my label. I'm going to make the label a different color. I'll make it a little darker orange so that it sticks out. There it is. Now the first thing I always do with a label is I find this thing that says auto size. I think it should be set to false and you set it to true, but I want to set it to false, which means that I can resize that label. Okay, so I'm going to go and do this and bring that in like this. And then I'm going to do a Control C, Control V to copy, and I'm going to make 4 of these. Do this a little different than we did the last one. Okay, now let's make our 3 buttons. So under buttons, there's the first one. We'll make this a little bit bigger and longer. Looks pretty good. All right, so we're going to have 3 buttons here. Move this over to about there. That looks good. And it looks looking pretty good. All right, and then finally, let's put in our 4 text boxes. Text boxes historically are left white. You don't have to do that, but like I said, historically that's the way that they're done. Now, the first thing I'm going to do before I want to come in here and rename everything. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the size of the text in here this is called lassoing. When you hold down on the left mouse button, then you just keep doing this until everything is chosen. So now I'm going to come into here and I'm going to reset the font for everything. Let's set it to 16, bold, and Arial. Okay, and now everything's been reset. Kind of nice to do it that way. You don't have to, but I kind of like doing it that way. I'm going to take this. I'm going to make these just a little bit narrower. Okay, so they're about the same width. All right. And I think I'll make them a little longer too. Okay, I'm liking the way that this interface is looking. It isn't, by no means is it beautiful, but it looks pretty nice. So the next thing I'm going to do here is change the name of my buttons. I'm going to call this one BTN Calculate. And I'm going to put the text on it to be Calculate. And this one will be BTN Clear with the text of Clear. And finally, this one will be BTN Exit with the text of Exit. Okay, now what did we have here? We had subtotal, and let's do subtotal and discount percent first. So let's move these over to the right. There we go. And if you don't like that, you can change it around any way you want. So this will be subtotal. So since it's a label, it starts with LBL, subtotal. And the text will be subtotal. All right, and the next one is discount percent. And the text or the name will be LBL discount percent. Can't have any spaces or special characters when you're naming something, just so you know. All right, this next one then will be, we've got discount amount and total. So this will be discount amount. So its name will be LBL discount amount. And this one will be total with LBL total. Now, it's not mandatory that you do this, but I tend to name, whatever I name my labels, like LBL subtotal, I name my text boxes the same thing, except labels start with LBL and text boxes start with TXT. So this will now be TXT subtotal, and there's no text in there. This will be TXT discount percent. This will be TXT discount amount. And this will be TXT total. Finally, I want to rename the form. All right, I'm going to call the form FRM invoice total. And I'm not sure what they actually put in the book here for it. Just invoice total works for me. So the text then will be invoice total. And that's now been set. Okay, a couple more things that, again, I like to do. I'm going to click on the form here, and I'm going to go over to View, Tab Order, and set my tab order. Now these are all going to be read-only in just a moment. These three. So this will be I'll go from here to here to here to here, and then here, 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 and here. Do another View, Tab Order. Again, these three fields are all read-only. So I'm going to go and set the read-only property on all of them to true. Okay. And I'm going to click on the form again, and I'm going to go down to Start Position, and I'm going to make that center screen. All right. I'm also going to do a couple things I didn't show you before. I want to set the default button so when I hit the Enter key, this is the code that's going to run. So I click over here on the empty spot on the form, and I go over to Accept button. And I'm going to click the down arrow and set that to BTN Calculate. Then I want a Cancel button. So if I hit Escape, what do I want to have happen? And I want the clear to run. So under Cancel button, I'm going to set that to BTN Clear. All right. Now, let's do a couple things here. Again, this is quirky the way I do things. You don't have to do them like this. But I'm going to click Calculate. I'm not going to put any code there yet. Then I'm going to click Clear, and I'll put some code there in just a minute. And then I'm going to click Exit. I'm going to put the same code in there I showed you for the exit of the other one. But let's start here with Clear. So I want to clear this, clear this, clear this, clear this, and have the cursor go here. So let's do that. So txt discount amount dot text equal nothing. Txt, I think it was subtotal, was next. You can do it in any order, it doesn't matter. Dot subtotal dot text equal nothing. Txt discount amount dot text equal double quote, and txt total dot text equal nothing. Finally, txt discount amount, oops, I did discount amount twice. This should be discount percent. Sorry. All right, so this will be discount amount dot focus. Now, again, you don't have to do this, but I'm just quirky this way. All right, so I've got all that stuff is done. All right, so let me do a file save all just so I've got that in there. And in my exit, I'm going to grab the same code that I had put in for the exit button here. Give me a second. There that is. So let's do a file, save all, and let's run the program. You can see it's in the center of the screen, and this is the only place that I can put something into. If I click calculate, nothing happens because it hasn't been coded yet. If I click clear, okay, well, for some, oh, it should have been subtotal where I put the cursor, but that's okay. It did clear it. And exit, no. Exit, yes. So this should be subtotal. txt subtotal.focus. All right, so that's all done. So in other words, this is done and this is done. So what's left? Well, we want to take this, multiply it by what's in here, and that'll go here. Then take this, subtract this from it, and put the total here. We'll do that in just a bit, but I'm just kind of running through the steps with you so you can see kind of what we're going to be doing. All right, let's jump back into our text. As it says, text boxes are used to either get information from a user or to display information for a user. All right. So labels display text on a form. They're for headings, basically. Text box lets you enter text on a form or show it to you. A button initiates some kind of processing. All right, how to add controls. I've already shown you that. But again, you can add controls to a form in a bunch of different ways. You can, like I said, you can grab here and drag. You can double click on here, and they show you another way too. Select it from the toolbox, then click in the form where you want to place it. You'll end up coming up with a way of doing most of this stuff that seems comfortable to you, and that's what you'll use. As far as the properties go, you've already seen a couple of these, but if you look here, if you remember, I highlighted everything, and then I went over to the font and changed the font to 16 for everything. So I only had to do it once. All right. If I want to change something just for these buttons, then I can lasso all the buttons like this. So if I wanted that code to be a little bigger, let's say, I don't think that's big enough at 16. I want it to be 20, let's say. I can go back and make that 20, and now you'll notice they're 20 here. Then later, if I change my mind, you know what, they should all be 20. I can highlight these and do the same thing. All right. And I can do the same thing here. Now with these, I want all of these to be, the text to be centered. So I'm going to go down and notice right now under text, it says text align and it says left. And I'm going to change that to click the down arrow and choose center. Now everything that we put in there will be center justified. All right, so I've made the stuff a little bigger here. You may like that, you may not like that. That's totally up to you as far as how you set it up. I may decide I want these to be even bigger. All right, so I can come back in here and change them from 20, let's say, to 24. That's probably about as big with the amount of area that I have here as that I'd used. If I'm going to do that, I probably will want these to be 24 as well, if they'll fit. So let's see. Yeah, that looks okay. And we'll make these 24 as well. Okay, and that looks pretty good. I think, did I already lock the form? No, I did not. So let's lock the form. How do I do that? I can either lasso everything like this, or I can click on the form, do a Control A to highlight everything. Then any one of the fields that's in there that's highlighted, right mouse click and choose Lock Controls. Now now this is locked into place. In fact, I'm going to unlock these. So let me go to Lock Controls, and I'm going to make this just a little bit bigger. There we go. Now I'm going to lock everything. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. All right. If you want information on some of the stuff that's on a control, you can hit F1. I'm not going to do that because, again, it interferes with what I'm using to try to tape this with. And if you don't understand, you will when we go through it. We're going to go through this again in class. All right, some of the more common properties for controls. All controls should have a name. Some controls will have text, like our labels and our buttons. Some controls will not have text, like our text boxes, where we put in the text ahead of time. I already showed you the accept button, the cancel button, and the start position. We've also worked a little bit indirectly with the tab stop, and we've worked with the read only. And really, not the tab stop, the tab index we've worked with. Adding navigation features. Again, I've shown you some of this. Let's look at a couple more that I haven't shown you, and that is these access keys. All right, the enter and the escape with the accept and cancel I've already shown you. Setting the tab order, I showed you the way they show you in Chapter 10 because I think it makes more sense. All right, so let's go back and we will come back to here and to here. And what were we going to do? I forgot. I'm sorry. Well, again, I've already shown you the name property, the text property, the accept, the cancel, and the start. You've seen those. We could disable something. All right. We've used read only already. We've used tab index already. We've used text align already. So we've used most of these. Oh, it was these access keys. So let me show you how to set the access keys. So I want an underline under the C here in calculate, under the L in clear, and under the X in exit. So I'm going to come here, and where we have calculate, I'm going to put an ampersand before the C. So it's ampersand calculate, and now you can see there's an underline there. I'll do the same thing on clear. You can't have another ampersand before the C because the system doesn't know then which one you mean. So there's one by the L. Kind of hard to see right now. And let's put another one here by the X. Okay. Now sometimes you can see these when you run the program, and sometimes they don't even show. See that? But notice if I now want to do an exit, I can do an Alt X. Alt X. Well, how about a Control X? Oh, that was a Control X. Alt X. See that? Now that runs. Okay. All right. Property settings. Pretty much I've already shown you these. Ours are pretty much the same way. The names might be a little different, but it's fine. All right, and we have not put the code in yet. I think they're going to do that in the next chapter, but we'll see. All right, renaming files. Well, I've already shown you how you can rename things. In fact, I can show you one on here right now if we didn't do it previously. Notice our form here still is called Form 1. That's a crummy name. So let's right mouse click on it, and I'm going to choose rename, and I'm going to make it FRM invoice total. Hit enter. Okay. And now it is renamed all of these in here. Okay, well, that's pretty nice. Saving everything, again, the easiest way. You should always get used to doing this before you stop, and that is just to do a file, save all. That's the easiest way. All right. And that pretty much is it. So let's see, in the next chapter, are we going to put in code? How to code and test. So I think we're going to work with the same one that we've been working with. There it is. So we're going to put the code in for it in the next chapter. So I'll be back with the lecture for Chapter 3 shortly.